Hello and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010 through the Codemasters series of F1 games, all the way to the present day, whenever that may be, or, in other words, drives F1's worst cars so you don't have to. And it's 2012, Season 3, Rain number 4. And we're on our way to Sakhir, Bahrain, a circuit that traditionally, these days anyway, until maybe the last couple of years, has opened the season. But back then, in this sort of period of F1, for a few more years, I think at least, it's an early season just before our European leg. And the numbers there don't deceive you whatsoever. We're 4 rounds in, we're 9th in the driver's standings with 15 points after an incredible third place finish in round 2 in Malaysia. China, on the other hand, not such a good time. Not the worst, not as bad as Australia was, but not as good as Malaysia. And that means that coming into this round, we sit, as I say, 9th place. But at the top, Mark Webber leads Lewis Hamilton by 2 points, with Alonso just a further point back, level on points with Romain Grosjean, who took a win in that Malaysian Grand Prix. Jenson Button's in 5th, just 7 behind. Then it's Rosberg, Perez, Vettel. We're ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, who's had quite the bad start to the season until China, where he managed to take some points. Then it's Michael Schumacher, Felipe Massa, Kobayashi, Maldonado, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, and Verne, who've taken points. 17 drivers have taken points so far. Paul di Resta, Bruno Senna haven't. And then neither of the 2 Caterhams, the 2 Marussias, or Pedro de la Rosa, who falls down to 24th. And post-race, if you've watched the last couple of episodes, you'll see that there are 25 drivers because Narain Karthikeyan gets to be listed. And I still haven't actually bothered checking, but as far as I remember, if we move into Pedro's seat during the season, I think Karthikeyan will take his seat back, the one that I've taken. Otherwise, it would be if I move teams, which isn't going to happen. So Karthikeyan won't. If that's the case, Karthikeyan won't be joining, but will still be listed. In the Constructors, it is McLaren who lead the way. Just 13 ahead of Red Bull, with Lotus in 3rd. Ferrari are 4th, then it's Mercedes and Sauber. There we are, ahead of Williams, Toro Rosso and Force India, and the aforementioned Caterham and Mauritius, who are yet to score. And you know what? It's been a great start to the season. We already scored more points than we did in 2011, with a 3rd place in Malaysia, compared to the 4th we got in Singapore in 2011, the only point score we got there. Australia, we had an all right bit of pace, and then we made mistakes. China, we made 1 in qualifying and 1 in the race, exactly the same corner, but China just kind of lacked pace as a long 3rd sector in terms of, keeping your foot in it and needing high speeds. We don't have either of those things. We don't have Kerrs either. So we had a nice little ding-dong near the end with the 2 Caterhams and managed to finish ahead of them. Our streak of out-qualifying and out-racing all of the other new teams, the qualifying one ended in Australia and so did the race one. But we're back on form for that now. We managed to out-qualify the other backmarkers and out-race them in China. It's the first time since the end of 2011 that we've managed both of those things in a weekend. And yeah, Bahrain, it's all right. Sakhir, it's not my favourite track. It's not one I'm massively strong at. But it's certainly one that you can mix it up. And we've seen retirements. We've seen the AI do stupid stuff, both in our pre-season event in Spain, our practice sessions in Australia, and actually with a couple of incidents that drivers had in Malaysia, everybody going in at the end of the first lap, shenanigans that kind of gifted us that podium in the end. And the fact that the AI still, at this point in Cody's history, don't really do the massive dive bombs that you'd kind of expect of them. They should easily be streaking past me in most circuits, but for quite a lot of them, they seem to think about a move, find that you're ever so slightly in their way, back off and wait again. And as we've seen in every race so far this season where we've had cars behind us, it's just a case of drifting gently into the middle of the road and they're not entirely sure what to do. Bahrain is going to be one of those sorts of races, I feel. A couple of long straights into heavy braking zones, middle sector where we might be able to stick with some people, but it's going to be tough here, I think. But at least we've got that platform before we head into the European season. The likes of Spain, Monaco, Valencia, Great Britain, you can see there, and Canada, obviously, in the middle, along with an absolute cluster of funnish circuits to drive. Germany. Why Holland? Hungary, Belgium, Monza. They'll probably be quite difficult, but also quite fun. And then way down here, round 19, is the first American Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. So we're going to be quite looking forward to driving that. But it's all about Bahrain, all about Sakhir. Let's go to the track, do some practicing, see what sort of pace we've got. And while we do, we'll talk about the 2012 Bahrain Grand Prix. Welcome to Bahrain then, and let's address the very quiet elephant in the room. I have no in-game audio, and I have no idea why. I was getting them in monitors, I was getting them in ears, but for some reason didn't want to record it on the footage. It only affected Bahrain. I tend to record a few rounds at a time, only affected this one, so flip-flopped on the idea of going back to re-record it, decided against it. So you'll have some nice music in the background over my dulcet tones. But the fourth round of the 2012 season saw Formula One return to Bahrain after the event's cancellation in 2011, and the track reverted to the traditional layout after the endurance layout was used in 2010. The practice sessions in Sakhir were uneventful affairs. The only thing of note was that Force India elected not to run in the second session due to security concerns, Hulkenberg and De Resta completing 43 laps between them in the final session to make up for it. Hamilton topped the first session with Vettel and De Resta in behind, while Nico Rosberg topped the second session after his win in China ahead of both Red Bulls, and the same top three topped the end of the third session as well. The first part of qualifying saw the shock elimination of Michael Schumacher. The Mercedes experiencing issues with its DRS flap during the session, meaning its top speed was severely hampered. It would open the door for one of the traditional backmarker cars to make it through, as Jean-Eric Vergne also found himself eliminated. And it would be Caterham's Heikki Kovalainen that made it through, adding to the Norfolk team's record of making it into Q2 in every season since their inception in 2010. It would be the rest of the traditional backmarkers that found themselves out in Q1, though at least everybody made it within the 107% time. The second part of qualifying saw a host of drivers being eliminated by their own teammates, notably Kimi Raikkonen, who was knocked out in Q2 near the end when Grosjean set a quicker lap time pretty much on the buzzer. Felipe Massa would also end his qualifying in Q2, knocked out in every race so far in 2012, and they would be joined by Kobayashi, Maldonado, Kovalainen and Senna, with Daniel Ricciardo getting his Toro Rosso into Q3. Both Alonso and De Resta would elect not to set a lap time in Q3 as they were out of fresh sets of tyres, though Alonso would head out on the circuit for a sighter lap, meaning he'd get to start ahead of the Force India. It'd be Vettel that would go on to take pole position, giving Red Bull their first pole since Brazil in the previous season. He'd be followed by Hamilton and Webber, with Button in fourth. Rosberg would take fifth ahead of the impressive Ricciardo, while Grosjean and Perez would complete the timed runners. There was a marked difference in the clean and dirty sides of the track as the lights went out, with drivers on the clean side making early moves. Top three would remain in situ, while Ricciardo would fall back outside the top 10 and make contact with Kovalainen later on in the lap, seeing the Finn make an early pit stop to replace a punctured tyre. Ricciardo would also get front wing damage, but wait until his scheduled pit stop to make repairs, as it was only minor damage. Lotus, though, looked to have strong race pace. Grosjean took third from Webber, while Raikkonen was also making moves further back. It had been lap 8 when teams started to pit, Massa and Rosberg attempting to undercut into clean air, but both came out behind a Marussia. Hamilton pitted a lap later, but he had a problem with the left rear, meaning his stop took longer than expected and he fell behind Alonso, Massa and Rosberg. Rosberg and Hamilton fought up towards turn 4, something they would do again, much more famously a few years later, Rosberg forcing Hamilton wide off the road, the Brit taking the position off track. The stewards, though, elected to review it after the race. The same sort of situation happened after the second set of stops, Hamilton's left rear being stuck on the car, dragging the pit stop out further, while Rosberg would once again force a driver off track, this time Fernando Alonso, who was not pleased on the radio, but once again the stewards decided to look at the incident post-race in a surprising turn of events. After those second stops, Raikkonen was now the man on the move, closing it to Vettel before the final round of stops. Vettel was told to go to his maximum available engine mode to hold off the Finn, remaining ahead of him until after the final round of pit stops. But Raikkonen would close to within 3 seconds of Vettel near the end of the race. He'd eventually, however, have to slip back, leaving Vettel to take the win. Immediately, the Red Bull running out of fuel just at the pit exit as the race closed. The 2 Lotus cars would complete the podium, though, in a very strong day for the Enstone-based outfit. Webber would come home 4th, with Rosberg lucky not to receive any penalties, taking 5th. De Rest would claim 6th after a valiant defensive drive, aided by a punch off a Button who was within DRS of him at the time. The points would be completed by Alonso, Hamilton, Massa and Schumacher. Will our return to Sakhir yield a good result? Well, as we found all of 2012 and, let's be honest, most of 2011, we completely lack any pace. And this circuit features a few long straights, so we're likely to be ending our qualifying in Q1. There's not really any way around that. So far it's been tough to even beat Caterham and Marussia. Marussia may be a little easier than the Norfolk team, but still tough to get ahead. So our aim's going to have to remain just trying to beat them, meaning that, let's be real, 19th, our traditional starting spot, is the aim here today. Maybe, though, we can take one more spot. But it's going to be a long shot at a circuit where our Cosworth engine certainly doesn't match everybody around us. Garage for the qualifying 1 session, as I can't get my words out, in Bahrain, and you can see cars streaming out already. It got quite congested through practice and we finished in our normal spot. We seemed actually kind of quick through the first sector and we just lost all of it in the end of the lap. So, you know, this might be one of those seasons where getting out of Q1 doesn't ever happen. We might actually find that we get, much like 2011, the odd session, but I don't know if this is going to be one of them. We better get out there now while cars are heading out and try and get some space, get a lap or 2 in, and see where we end up. Fastest lap in Q1 then, as you can see, qualifying coming to an end, and we've just been passed by Sergio Perez. So we're going to use the DRS and the slipstream to try and gain a bit of a speed advantage down the straight. Perez backs off a little early, which gives us the opportunity to really set up for turn 1, bouncing across the curbs through 1 and 2. Car looking fairly planted, so not too bad. We've still got the opportunity to get some DRS and a little bit of slipstream off the sounder, which we do all the way up to turn 4. But as you can see, the car just doesn't want to turn. Perez eventually backs off, knowing that his lap is done and dusted. We're 5 tenths up on Hülkenberg and 2 tenths, or nearly 3 tenths up on our own time, but we get just a little bit blocked by Grosjean as he's also slowing down on an in-lap. Glock as well slowing down as we get out of turn 8, a problem area for us throughout pretty much the entire Bahrain weekend, and we're really cautious into turn 10, another corner where we really seem to struggle at all times in this car. Getting down the back straight towards turn 11, coming up to the end of the second sector, again really cautious into 11, we just don't feel confident enough making sure we can get the car there through there at pace. But as you can see, that time is already slipping away from us. We're now 2 tenths, nearly 3 tenths off Hülkenberg, but still about half a second up on our own time. So we're thinking we might at least be able to pinch a spot from somebody else. Heading down now into the final couple of corners is a double apex right, according to the track map, and we get a little wide, which compromises our drive off the corner. But we're already behind Hulk, but at least we've taken 19th. And for the fourth race running out in Q1, way off Senna and Hulkenberg ahead, but it actually took an awful lot of effort just to jump ahead of Vitaly Petrov, showing you just where HRT are in comparison to Caterham. We are well clear of the Mauritius, though, and Pedro de la Rosa also getting ahead of them. We are all out, along with, as I said before, Bruno Senna, who wasn't too far off Nico Hulkenberg. But yeah, I don't know what it is with the 2012 version of this physics engine game, whatever. But there are a couple of corners, certainly, sort of turn 11 in particular, I'm really struggling to get right. Same with turn 8 as well. And not even the difficult turn 10. Turn 10 I actually seem okay at, I guess. But the race is going to be one of just trying to make some places early doors, but we were blitzed down the start-finish straight by a lot of people during qualifying, and I fear it's going to be the same in the race. But let's cross over to the race and see what we can do in Bahrain. Here we are then in the garage for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and if you just watched qualifying and saw where I qualified, you'll be as confused as I am as to why I'm starting 24th and last. I know during qualifying I had a little bit of contact with Vettel, who was on a slowdown lap as I was approaching turn 8, but it didn't say that I'd been given any penalties. I don't remember picking up any penalties in practice either, unless it decided to issue one without showing me. I don't remember seeing one. But for some reason, we're starting last, which means that we've been out-qualified by all of the backmarker teams, despite the fact that you saw, and I saw, that we qualified 19th. Well, fair enough. The grid as it stands then is Mark Webber at the top end of it ahead of Sebastian Vettel, the championship leader. Should be hoping to get a good start here. Button's in third with Hamilton, then it's Di Resta up in fifth. Great result for Force India. Alonso's in sixth, Grosjean seventh. Eighth is Perez, then it's Raikkonen and Rosberg. Kobayashi, Ricciardo, Schumacher, Maldonado, Verne and Hulkenberg down there. Massa 17th. Was having quite the bad start to the 2012 season in real life, and is having quite the bad start to the season here by the looks of it. Bruno Senna was 18th. That's where we should be, where Vitaly Petrov is sat in 19th place. Then it's Kovalainen, De La Rosa, Glock, Peak, and there we are. And again, I don't know why we're 24th. I have literally no idea as to why it's put us to the back of the grid. All I know is it has. And, well, it means we've got a few more spots to make up. Listen, it's going to be a long run into turn 1. The AI in 2012 have had their fair share of shenanigans in the few rounds that we've done. A couple of retirements as well could help. We're going to really have to work hard just to beat our fellow backmarkers. I think as well, though, with Massa trying to make his way through the field, that could lead to a couple of people being shoveled unceremoniously out of the way. I think the target's got to be trying to get something like 18th spot, which is where the team want us to finish. So let's go for 18th rather than 19th, see if we can pick somebody off if they have any issues. And yeah, use the run down to turn 1 to our advantage, hopefully. And hopefully fight back against whatever weird glitch this has been. But enough talk. From the very back of the grid, let's go and race in the 2012 Bahrain Grand Prix. Webber and Vettel front row. Webber one of 3 winners this season. Alonso and Raikkonen the others. There's De La Rosa. And there we are, right down at the back. To get a good launch here is 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and the 5th. And away we go in Bahrain. We're a little bit behind everybody. Got a little bit of wheel spin, I think, but watch them all just concertina up into turn one. Kovalainen under pressure from... Oh, I think that was one of the Marussias. We somehow managed to duck our way through as Massa gets all out of shape. Alonso's down to 13th. He's had a bad start. We are now taking his spot for P13. Oh, we had to get off the circuit there. Yeah, illegal overtake, that's fair. We hand it back to Ricciardo, move back down to 13th. We heard some carbon fibre, some contact. There's a Sauber rained in front of us, that's Perez. It's caught up Rosberg and Alonso as well, and we're through. We're into 10th. I did say shenanigans. There's Rosberg that's behind us, but there's a big gap now to the rest of the field as they all got caught up behind the spinning Sergio Perez. It's put us into P10, giving us at least something. Even De La Rosa's ahead of a clutch of cars further back there. Into turn 11, where I've been struggling all the way through qualifying. Rosberg all over the back of us, as you'd expect from the Mercedes. Already 3.5 seconds down on Kobayashi. That's how just biblically slow this car is. Rosberg's going to be looking straight away, but we'll just, as I said, right at the top, just got to drift ever so slightly off the racing line, but we get wide into the final corner and Rosberg is through. So outside the top 10, but P11 at the end of the first lap. And there are cars moving slowly. I think they've got damage. It looks like Pedro De La Rosa's in like 15th place. If not actually 13th. And depends how many people Vern's got behind him. I can see at least one car back there. Pedro avoiding the carnage as well. And they're already closing. It's going to be tough to maintain. But you can see the mini-map there. Quite a few gaps have appeared. Just where there was that incident with Sergio Perez spinning. Here comes Maldonado in the Williams. Well, just block him off. Vern didn't exactly defend hard. Maldonado tries a bit of a cheeky dive up the inside at 10. Somebody knocked the bollard over. They're going backwards, so it doesn't look like it was a collision. Just the AI getting a little feisty on the entry to the corner. Car just doesn't seem to want to turn. Maldonado just gives us a little nudge. Gone right to the outside there. These two likely to have us easily done here. Kobayashi's been overtaken by Rosberg. There goes Maldonado. I'd assume Jean-Eric Vern's going to do the same. No, we'll actually hold him off. Because again, the AI don't really know where to go, and they're early on the brakes into one. That gives me the opportunity to dive back up the inside of Maldonado. Looking at the little yellow dot on the minimap, De La Rosa's falling further back. Another corner, the car just refusing to turn in. Vern's even got past Maldonado, so I don't know whether he's lost it with me diving at the inside. Definitely going to lose positions here as Maldonado goes through. Jean-Eric Vern's going to follow suit. Be able to get one of them back on the brakes. Quite. Vern blocked me out. It's Kovalainen that's behind us in 14th. There are cars already being lapped up ahead. With Vern here, first sector we're actually not too bad. We'll have a little think about it Oh, at the inside at 4, and then we'll lose the rear on the curb in. Get back on track ahead of Sergio Perez, who obviously wasn't damaged and managed to recover. I am fairly tough on my tyres, and we're up to 12th. Somebody's dropped out. Perez is going to go past us. We're back down to 13th, but we are. We have gained a position. We are also going to get DRS here as we try around the outside of the Mexican. I'll find out who's retired in a moment. Somebody up ahead. Even with the DRS, not fast enough to get past the Sauber, but ain't break him into turn 1. Up to 12th. Roman Grosjean, who's retired in the Lotus. He's out. Down to 23 is Ricciardo and Hulkenberg at the back. They really must have suffered in that kerfuffle on the first lap. As I said, I think Ricciardo already being lapped, maybe even Hulk 2 soon. Yeah, there's blue flags. You can see them as Perez is thinking about it into turn 10. So much faster than me. At least behind him it's Kovalainen and then a bit of a gap to De La Rosa, so we might have a few laps of calm, I guess. We do find ourselves getting beat here by Perez. We just don't seem to have any rear grip at the moment. Surely now, DRS, Kovalainen's going to be there as well. And that Caterham much faster than us. There's nowhere to go here. Passed on both fronts. Perez backs off really early and actually catches out Kovalainen too. So we regain P12. Super slidey as we get on the brakes, and Perez chances it, and he's through. And he does what I've been doing to so many people as we nearly lose the rear again. Kovalainen's going to go. It's just, these option tyres are ruined already. They're so much further on them. And they look like that. And then to take the early stop. Alonso gets past De La Rosa behind. We're not even close enough to get DRS on Kovalainen. We can stay with Kovalainen at least through the first sector here. And then we do that. We have to try and flick spin round. Alonso goes by. Pedro De La Rosa is going to be behind us. I'm getting off these tyres. Got no confidence that I'll get around a corner or slow down. So we're going in. We're going to fall a lap down pretty early here, I think. Look at it. The car just goes light and we just lose the rear end. So we're heading in. Giving De La Rosa DRS to defend from the Marussia of Peak. Petra will get past us as well. As I think we'll Glock. Massa in 18th. We're going to have Senna come by now as well. And Glock. Willie. It might actually, yeah, we'll beat Glock into turn 1. Apparently running to the end on these tyres, so best of luck to us, I guess. Force India currently not really my fight, although having lightly stopped early after the first lap incident. He's likely to have to go again as we get wide. Going to 22 cars. Somebody else has dropped out. We remain 20th though, so that would suggest it's Ricardo, Glock, or Ricardo or Glock, I think, but Glock's still running. That would suggest Daniel Ricciardo is out of this one. It's Jenson Button. Jenson Button's out of this one. So we'll move into 19th when we eventually get to wherever the McLaren man pulled off the circuit, just here. As Nico Hülkenberg is going to be all over us with DRS into turn 1. Leave the door well open for him in the last corner. Just a couple of corners around the circuit. I just cannot get right consistently as I'll just edge slightly to the left. That'll stop the Force India from going by. Why the clutch of cars close together up ahead? I wonder if somebody's picked up some damage. We weren't all that close when I came into the pits. And with Perez leading the queue, or what was Perez leading the queue, one would assume that maybe Kovalainen's fallen behind him and is leading that train, or there has been an issue because we've gained a large amount of time on Vitaly Petrov and the guys ahead. Wide out the last corner again though. All that time we gained, I think we're probably going to have lost. Quite the tight gap for Hülkenberg, but he's once again early on the brakes. Oh, and then we do that. Now we're going to be under pressure from Timo Glock. This has not been a good race. Well, De La Rosa's in the pits. We'll at least overtake our teammate. Glock is in. De La Rosa was in the middle of that pack that was moving slowly-ish up ahead, so we should still be in their window. Just have to not spin it around every corner. FD telling me that if I do come in, I'll be 23rd. They're only 22 in the race, so work that one out, I guess. Petrov is in, Peak is in, so we're up to 17th. Still behind Kovalainen. I think it's probably going to remain that way to the end unless Heikki's still got to come in. Looks like Massa might be closing on Kovalainen and Perez, perhaps. Looks like Hülkenberg's had to go in, as I thought he might have to, having stopped early. So we're back past Nico Hülkenberg. Ricardo had got past De La Rosa behind us though. So I've got two much faster cars behind me chasing, and the leaders are closing to lap. Hülkenberg's on us now. I don't think it's worth fighting too hard here. He's on fresher, faster tyres. That's DRS. So I think, yeah, we'll just sort of let him go. As has been the case in this race, I can brake a little later into turn 1. Going the outside, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but we get back past the Hulk. Hulkenberg right there, but we're about to get caught by all the leaders. Oh, we get a bit wide there. Here comes Mark Webber. Wide into the last corner. Who's he got with him? Kimi Räikkönen. Well, it's got to be, I think, yeah, because I think Grosjean's out. Yeah, there's Räikkönen fighting for the lead. Hamilton's there as well. Should be able to go past. There we go. We do lose a little bit of time to Kovalainen. Hulk loses a little bit of time to us. We've got a bit of a gap back to Ricciardo, or I feel might have actually had to come back into the pits. Hamilton gets right up behind Kimi Räikkönen. We're watching this. The first sector, I seem to have pretty decent pace, and then I lose it all in the second half of the lap. But get a front row seat to the battle up ahead. Hulkenberg's going to think about it into 11. Not close enough. We get all over the curbs there. I was kind of hoping to stay with these guys while they caught them. Lapped Heikki Kovalainen. Able to, as Bruno Senna's the man setting fastest lap after fastest lap at the moment. Hulkenberg, here he goes. Got the inside, but we'll get DRS. Don't know how effective it's going to be on the Force India, but we'll see. We stay right there with him. We'll be able to dive back at the inside into turn 1, or at least that's the plan. Sweep round the outside into 2. Good move there to once again keep the Force India at bay. I think those guys are closing on Kovalainen pretty quickly. Hulkenberg's definitely going off-road here. Yellow flag out behind us now, though. It's gone as soon as it arrives. I wonder if somebody's cost themselves a front wing into turn 1 now. Kovalainen lost about 4 seconds, but not enough for us to close. Not really, anyway. Will force him to the outside at 11. He's not going to go there. A little wide defending though. He has another think about it, and again we just sort of shepherd him away. Again, Hulkenberg just sort of forces his way through a gap that isn't really there. We once again outbrake him into turn 1. He tries the cut back. We just cut him off on the exit of 2. Not fast enough to get ahead of Kovalainen here, I don't think. I mean, we made the mistake, cost ourselves, but those option tyres just fell apart in the race early on. At the moment, we're just trying to hold off the far superior Force India. Got caught up in Perez's spin at the start in lap 1. Squeezes to the outside again. Bit of wheel bumping, a little bit wide. Drops back there. We get the DRS. That'll do. costs us though, because we get too late on the brakes and nearly lose the position. It's going to have a look into turn 4, but decides better of it. Need to get lapped here, I think. We're getting lapped by, well, it's Michael Schumacher. We run wide into turn 10 to try and let the Mercedes through. A little bit of contact, and then there's Maldonado in 5th. Pastor having a great day. Just about get out the throttle with enough time to spare as we nearly lose the rear. Debris on our tyres and then off the curb, and we get lucky there. Here comes Hulkenberg again. Once again, he's up the inside into the final corner. We get the DRS again? We do. We stay with Hulkenberg. He's going to go defensive. Going to have to go in the outside as we got Schumacher defending from Maldonado, and we retake P16. Fighting tooth and nail for nothing, really. Such is the life at the back. Once again, be stuck to the inside. Hulkenberg. This time he might have us. Once again, though, later on the brakes into 1, right on the outside at 2, back in front. Couple of laps left. Getting lapped? I think he is, yeah. Grosjean's out. Hamilton's gone past us, but out. Who's that? Oh, Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull. Come on, Seb. Go wide at 10 to try and let him through like we did with Schumacher earlier, and it eventually works. Hulk's going to be under pressure from more levers in a moment, so that's good for us. Definitely lost Heikki as Hulk backs off to let leaders through. I think that might be Kobayashi Sauber. It is. Should be able to just breeze by with the DRS. We'll kind of slot back in for a second as I think that's Jean-Eric Verne in the Toro Rosso. There it is, and we'll all gets a little bit feisty with him, and then Rosberg as well. Hulk's really lost out as we head on to our penultimate lap. We lose out as well as Rosberg gets into the back of Verne. We're stuck behind these two. There's no point in us trying to get back past as we're a lap down. We've got blue flags again. This time for the other Force India of Paul di Resta. I think Hulk's now even got Ricciardo on his tail. Run wide, he has. So Hulk and di Resta are going to be with us. Sorry, Hulk and Ricciardo are going to be with us for the last lap. Once again, Hulk will go past. Keep him to the outside. Ooh, there's a little bit of wheel banging. I think we're going to get DRS here, you know. We are. Ricciardo's going to have DRS on us both. As we start our final lap. We managed to hold off both Hulk and Ricciardo, though Hulk is still all over us. He looks to the outside at 4. Holding our own at the moment. Just a few corners left. Looks like it's going to be Mark Webber that takes victory, his second of the season. He'll be the first multi-winner of the season in round 4. Struggling to turn. There is Mark Webber taking victory. Hulkenberg defending from Ricciardo here. And he's fallen back to defend from Ricciardo. Not for long though. As he's back on us, we're going to keep him behind, I think. Rather than take the DRS. Might cost us. Hulkenberg and Ricciardo right up behind us. There's the DRS line, but there's the start-finish line. And we cross the line P16. P16. There it is. 16th place ahead of Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Petrov, De La Rosa, Glock and Peak. Button and Grosjean don't manage to finish in Bahrain. At the top end of things, Webber wins ahead of Raikkonen, who's just ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Schumacher takes 4th ahead of Maldonado, Vettel down in 6th, with Kobayashi, Rosberg, Verne and De Resta finishing the points. A bad day for Ferrari. Alonso 11th, Senna in between the two of them in 12th, and Massa there, the other Ferrari, in 13th. Then it's Perez. Kovalainen beats us in P15. But a couple of half spins, a couple of mistakes, but just an overall lack of pace, even with the massive kerfuffle on lap 1 behind Sergio Perez. I don't think further up the field was really in our wheelhouse today. What does that mean to the driver's standings? We slipped to 12th, so we've fallen a couple more places, but Mark Webber leads the way now by 12 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Alonso slips to 3rd. Grosjean slips to 4th. They actually remain where they are, on the same points. Button as well remains where he is. Raikkonen moves up to 6th place with Rosberg in 7th, and it's Vettel down in 8th place, defending champion Michael Schumacher 9th. Then it's Perez, Maldonado. We are still ahead of Kobayashi, Massa, Ricciardo, Verne, Hulkenberg and De Resta. And Senna, Kovalainen, Petrov, Glock, Peak, De La Rosa and Carter Kayan still with 8 points so far. Red Bull, though, now lead the way in the Constructors by 5 points ahead of McLaren. Lotus remain 3rd ahead of Mercedes. Ferrari are down in 4th with Ferrari are down in 5th with Sauber in 6th. Williams are 7th. They've jumped us. We are now down to 8th, but we're still ahead of Toro Rosso, Force India, Caterham and Marussia. And listen, not the worst race we could have had considering the circumstances. I think we did okay with what we had, and what we had wasn't an awful lot in Bahrain. I don't think it's going to get any easier going into Spain, but hopefully in the mid-season we can find our form again. Those early points back in Malaysia are going to be massive, I think, for just keeping us afloat against the likes of Toro Rosso and Force India, who seem to be picking up the occasional point but aren't really threatening big numbers through the season. It was a bit of it started well and then it was always going backwards through the rest of the race. The tyres fell apart, the options, quite early, so we had to make that call early doors to try and just see ourselves to the end. Nice little battle with Hulk at the end there, never quite enough pace to go back up to the Caterham ahead of us. So we've been beaten for the second time by at least one of the other backmarker teams, but that's not a bad thing. Caterham is certainly faster than us on paper, so being able to say we're 15 clear of them, that's pretty good. But thank you so much for watching Bahrain. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. I shall see you for the next one as we hit the European season. And one of our 3 home races, one of 2 home races for the team, and then obviously my home race in Britain. So join me for that one as we head to Catalonia. Take care of yourselves. See you for the next one. Bye for now.